Gregory placed his hand inside a metallic gauntlet and connected its other end to a mysterious portal. The moment the machine powered on, he flipped the switch, releasing a terrifying surge of electricity that linked him directly to the portal. As he began chanting an ancient incantation, a gateway to another world opened. On the other side of the portal, chaotic demon gods were imprisoned within crystal prisons. At the time, the Nazis were on the verge of losing World War II, and in desperation, they sought to harness supernatural forces to change the course of history. However, Allied forces had already discovered their secret operation. Suddenly, grenades exploded among the crowd, and one researcher was thrown directly into the portal, where he was instantly reduced to ashes. Elite soldiers charged forward with bayonets, but even their assault couldn't stop Gregory's ritual. His followers were deadly warriors, quickly overpowering the Allied troops. In a desperate move, one of the Allied scientists hurled a bomb toward the portal machinery. The device was destroyed, and Gregory could no longer withstand the portal's immense pull. He was dragged into the gateway and vanished forever. The Nazi conspiracy had failed. Yet one scientist remained concerned. The portal had stayed open for too long. Something from the other side might have crossed over. Moments later, soldiers heard movement behind them. Slowly turning around, they witnessed a shocking sight. Standing there was a small red-skinned demon child with a massive stone-like right hand. Instead of attacking it, the professor gently picked up the creature and offered it a chocolate bar. Surprisingly, the child responded peacefully. The soldiers soon realized that the strange child had arrived through the portal. Because he resembled a demon boy, they named him Hellboy. 60 years passed. In the present day, surviving followers of Rasputin brought a man to a mysterious sacred site. There, he was brutally sacrificed, and his blood was used in a dark ritual. Through this blood ceremony, Grigory Rasputin finally returned to Earth after decades trapped in another dimension. Meanwhile, the professor who had raised Hellboy had become old and gravely ill. Doctors informed him that he had only 2 months left to live and advised him to stay in the hospital. However, he refused, wanting to spend his remaining time with the son he had raised. Hellboy returned to the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense, the secret organization dedicated to investigating supernatural threats. Knowing his time was limited, the professor assigned a new agent to the Bureau. Upon arriving, the agent met a strange psychic investigator with extraordinary abilities. The professor explained that they had discovered him locked away in a private cellar. His talents were remarkable. He could read 4 books simultaneously and remember every detail instantly. Later, a senior agent escorted the newcomer through the facility. Eventually, they arrived at a room where Hellboy was waiting. Despite being on Earth for 60 years, Hellboy still appeared young, powerful, and energetic. The new agent stared in disbelief at the enormous red demon. Hellboy immediately demanded to know who he was. The senior agent explained that the newcomer would now be part of their team. Hellboy arrogantly replied that he didn't need a partner. The senior agent quietly handed the new recruit a chocolate bar and instructed him to give it to Hellboy, the same kind the professor had given him years ago. The moment Hellboy saw the chocolate, his expression changed. Emotionally, he asked if his father had returned. The agent nodded. Suddenly, emergency alarms echoed throughout the facility. The entire team rushed to a museum where a horrific attack had occurred. Several people had been slaughtered by a mysterious creature. Upon entering, the psychic investigator sensed the monster's presence and informed Hellboy that it was still hiding somewhere inside the building. Hellboy ordered everyone else to remain outside and ventured in alone. Inside the dark museum halls, he finally encountered the terrifying creature. Without hesitation, he attacked and seemingly killed it. However, after Hellboy emerged, the psychic investigator studied the monster and revealed a horrifying truth. It possessed regenerative abilities and couldn't be permanently killed so easily. Realizing the creature was still alive, Hellboy returned inside. Another brutal battle erupted, causing massive destruction throughout the museum. This time, Hellboy defeated the monster once again and left. Afterward, the team investigated the area further. By touching nearby objects, the psychic investigator experienced visions revealing that Rasputin and his followers had been there. They discovered that Rasputin intended to summon an ancient evil god into the human world. The psychic also learned that the monster Hellboy fought had been unleashed by Rasputin himself. This revelation deeply worried the professor. Later, Hellboy visited a psychiatric hospital to see Liz Sherman, a former teammate with powerful pyrokinesis abilities. Liz could control fire, but she struggled to keep her powers in check. In the past, her uncontrolled flames had caused terrible destruction. Because of this, she had admitted herself to the hospital to learn self-control. Hellboy asked her to return with him, but she hesitated. She explained that although she disliked the hospital, it had helped her manage her powers. Before he could convince her further, members of his team arrived and forced him back to headquarters. Meanwhile, the wound Hellboy had received from the museum creature was examined. The psychic investigator discovered something horrifying beneath his skin. The creature had implanted eggs inside Hellboy's body. He explained that these monsters reproduced by injecting eggs into their victims. Their greatest weaknesses were intense heat and bright light. Darkness and moisture were necessary for the eggs to hatch. The professor suddenly realized something terrible. Hellboy had fought the monster in a dark basement, an ideal breeding ground. The next day, Hellboy, the psychic investigator, and the new agent descended into the underground tunnels beneath the museum. There they discovered hundreds of eggs hidden underwater. But the creature was still alive. It suddenly attacked from beneath the water, nearly killing the psychic investigator. He barely escaped. Moments later, the monster burst from the water and brutally killed two agents. Hellboy immediately joined the fight. After a savage battle filled with bloodshed and destruction, he finally killed the creature for good. Yet Rasputin had another ally, a gigantic masked warrior whose body seemed indestructible. Bullets had no effect on him. As chaos unfolded, he severely wounded several senior agents. The team soon learned another horrifying truth. If the monsters were not stopped, they could spread across the world and wipe out humanity. Even worse, whenever one of the creatures died, two more could potentially be born from it. The threat was growing rather than shrinking. Soon after, the professor brought Liz back to the home where she once lived. Hellboy arrived later and was clearly happy to see her. He had secretly loved Liz for years but had never found the courage to tell her. Elsewhere, the professor examined the corpse of one of Rasputin's followers. To his surprise, the body contained no blood whatsoever. The creature wasn't human. Moments later, the supposedly dead masked assassin rose again and approached him. The professor immediately realized he was facing only a pawn in a much larger plan. Then Grigory Rasputin himself emerged from the shadows. Rasputin mocked the professor, claiming none of this would have happened if Hellboy had been killed 60 years ago when he first arrived on Earth. Placing his hand on the professor's forehead, Rasputin showed him a terrifying vision. Hellboy's filed-down horns regrew into massive demonic horns. The world burned in oceans of fire while civilization collapsed around him. Hellboy stood at the center of the apocalypse. Moments later, Rasputin's monstrous servant murdered the professor. When Hellboy returned home and discovered his father's body, he was devastated. The professor had been his only true family. Beside the body, the team found a note revealing the location of a mysterious place. Determined to stop Rasputin, they traveled there. Deep within ancient ruins, they encountered the assassin who had killed the professor. Enraged, Hellboy attacked him. After an intense battle, Hellboy crushed the monster and avenged his father. Meanwhile, the rest of the team discovered a giant nest containing hundreds of monster eggs. Swarms of creatures attacked from every direction. At that crucial moment, Liz arrived. Realizing only her fire powers could stop them, she unleashed her full strength. Massive waves of flame engulfed the ruins, incinerating every creature and egg. The entire nest was reduced to ashes. However, the effort exhausted her completely. When Hellboy regained consciousness later, he found himself captured. Rasputin and his followers stood before him. Liz and the agent were prisoners as well. At the center of the chamber stood an enormous ancient stone said to have fallen from the heavens long ago. Rasputin revealed that the stone was the key to opening a portal to the demon world. That very night, a total lunar eclipse would create the perfect conditions. Then Rasputin revealed the truth about Hellboy's massive stone hand. It was the key. Hellboy's right hand of doom was designed to unlock the portal. Rasputin ordered him to open it. Hellboy refused. With a cold smile, Rasputin ripped Liz's soul from her body and claimed it was trapped beyond the portal. If Hellboy wanted her back, he would have to obey. Desperate to save her, Hellboy attempted to break the magical seals. Rasputin explained that only Hellboy's true demonic identity could unlock them. Under immense emotional pressure, Hellboy finally spoke his true name. Instantly, the seals shattered. His filed-down horns regrew into gigantic flaming horns. As midnight arrived and the eclipse reached its peak, Hellboy placed his stone hand into the ancient lock. A brilliant beam of light shot toward the moon. The portal opened completely. From the darkness beyond emerged a colossal cosmic monster, an ancient evil god. Only one final seal remained. Just as Hellboy prepared to release it, the captured agent shouted his name. He reminded Hellboy of who he truly was and begged him not to forget the man who had raised him. The agent threw the professor's rosary toward him. Seeing it, Hellboy remembered his father's love, kindness, and teachings. He finally understood the kind of person he wanted to be. In a powerful act of defiance, Hellboy grabbed his own gigantic horns and snapped them off. The portal immediately began to close. Then he used one of the broken horns as a weapon and drove it straight through Rasputin's body. As Hellboy prepared to leave with Liz, Rasputin laughed and warned him that killing him had unleashed something even worse. Suddenly, a monstrous parasite burst from Rasputin's corpse. It immediately killed Rasputin's female companion before turning its attention to Hellboy. A final battle began. The creature was nearly unstoppable. Realizing he had only one chance, Hellboy grabbed a bomb and allowed himself to be swallowed whole. Once inside the monster, he detonated the explosive. The beast exploded from within and was completely destroyed. Miraculously, Hellboy survived. He returned to Liz and the agent. Liz lay motionless, and Hellboy feared he had lost her forever. Leaning close, he whispered that she had always been in his heart and always would be. Hearing his words, Liz slowly opened her eyes.